Welcome to today's news on TV9. I'm Ada Show. In today's local news, the government sets deadline for the Waitangi Tribunal while the District Health Board is torn by targets set by the government. And according to recent reports, poor air could result in 1,000 premature deaths. A dinner was held last Friday night to welcome the arrival of Shanghai Committee Huacha Culture and Economy Promotion Association. The event celebrated 40 years of diplomatic relations between China and New Zealand. Chrissy J reports.
New Zealand and China have established diplomatic relationships for 40 years now, with both countries forging closer cooperation in many fields and signing a free trade agreement in 2008. A delegation from China was visiting Auckland over the weekend, joining business representatives from the local Chinese community for a dinner of celebration.
I feel it's a very great between China and New Zealand 40-year diplomatic relationship, and we build it stronger between China and New Zealand.
National MP Dr. Jan Yang says the world has seen a transfer of wealth from the west to the east, and Shanghai, being the oriental pearl from tradition, is a focal point of the continuing importance of China.
We have been trying to help New Zealand businesses to go to China, and also we are trying to encourage Chinese investment in New Zealand, so the government can do much more, and have been doing quite well.
The government launched its China strategy for trade earlier this year and established the New Zealand-China Council to coordinate public and private sector efforts to foster the relationship between the two countries. The delegation from Shanghai brought along a performance show held at Aotea Centre on Saturday. Christy Zhao, 9 News.
Finance Minister Bill English has given the Waitangi Tribunal a deadline by which to deliver its findings on the Maori Council's water rights claims. Ahead of a meeting with the Maori Party today, Prime Minister John Key says he's not worried of appearing to put pressure on the tribunal. Christy J reports.
The government has asked the Waitangi Tribunal to deliver its findings on the Maori Council's water right claim by August 24th, a month earlier than when the tribunal said it would be ready. Finance Minister Bill English says leaving the tribunal decision until next month would jeopardize the whole asset sales program, as the government is aiming to catch the October-November window to partially float Mighty River Power. English has said a decision would be made in due time regardless of the tribunal's findings, but Prime Minister John Key denies putting pressure on the tribunal.
We were simply trying to give them some indications from the Crown side of what would be most useful from our perspective. We think there might have been a bit of a misunderstanding, because in their interim report they essentially say that if they deliver their findings to us in September, it will still allow us to meet that deadline of the end of the year. And the point is, we think that's a little too late depending on when it would come at that point. So we're really just trying to give them a bit of feedback.
Questions have been raised about why Finance Minister Bill English was referring to the state asset sales as a 2-year program when the government had previously said it was expected to be done over 4 to 5 years. John Key is clarifying on the issue.
I haven't seen his comments on that. I mean, look, the overall program will be sort of, about a 5-year program in total. But, it just depends on the market conditions. It depends on the capacity to bring the companies to market. There's a whole lot of different issues in there, so nothing's changed.
Key is due to meet with the Maori Party today to discuss the government's response to the Waitangi Tribunal. Christy Zhao, 9 News.
Cold winters call for warm heaters, but your method of heating may do more harm than good. Amy Shen reports.
The Asthma Foundation released a report that poor air quality has caused the premature deaths of over 1,000 people each year. Based on the 2006 data, home heating fires are the leading culprit, except Central Auckland, where motor vehicle exhaust is the top killer. According to Medical Director Dr. Bob Hancock, many people will suffer from ill health due to poor air quality. The foundation encourages all those with a respiratory condition to keep your house warm and dry. A form of heating such as a heat pump or low-emission wood burner can help without polluting your environment. The estimates are based on exposures on tiny pollution particles that lodge themselves in the airways and lungs. Smaller particles can even enter the bloodstream. Amy Chen, 9 News.
The government has imposed new targets for district health boards and difficult decisions followed as a consequence. Keisha reports.
the funding system has a perverse effect on district health boards, as Southern District Health Board has decided to clamp down on the number of elective operations done in order to avoid a deficit.
Public hospitals to do a specified number of operations. They set a target for that, and to do it within a maximum waiting time, which keeps reducing. Now, what that means is if they achieve the target, they can be rewarded. If they fail to achieve it, they can be penalised. And if they overshoot it, they can be strongly criticised because it costs more.
Torn between targets set by the government to reduce maximum waiting time, district health boards are expected to have immaculate control. Otherwise, they could face a financial penalty or criticised for overreaching the target.
It is an unfair system. Having targets is not a bad thing. That can actually sharpen the focus. But when you have financial penalties around those targets, then it becomes unfair.
There's no doubt that district health boards are caught in a hard place. It might take more than just careful planning and administration to stay in the safe zone. Kay Chow, 9 News.
Pacific Fibre, the company aiming to build a trans-Pacific internet cable linking New Zealand, Australia and the United States, have pulled the plug on the plan, citing financial issues. Experts worry it will hamper competition, but Prime Minister John Key says it's not a big deal. Christy Jha reports.
Pacific Fibre Chairman Sam Morgan announced last week that the company's plans to build a 13,000-kilometre high-speed fibre optic cable between New Zealand, Australia and the United States has been cancelled, meaning New Zealand will only have one cable, the Southern Cross route connecting the country with the rest of the world. The company failed to raise the required capital of $492 million, and experts worry the country's internet future will be dealt a major blow.
Anybody starting today would take 2 or 3 years to get the funding in place and another 2 or 3 years to build the project. So we're talking about 6 years at least before we see any form of competition on the Southern Cross route.
Prime Minister John Key says he's disappointed with the news, but he says Pacific Fibre's failure is a unique situation and it's unlikely to deter others from trying the same.
There's been a number of other cables around the world that haven't got off the ground either at this time. So I think you need to acknowledge New Zealand's a smaller market in that regard, and Southern Cross does have quite a lot of capacity.
Telecommunications Users Association's Paul Brisland agrees broadband capacity is enough as it is, but he says the plan's cancelling will hamper New Zealand's ability to compete internationally in the internet market.
When you've only got one provider, you don't know that you're getting the best deal that there is out there, and we'd hope that Pacific Fibre would add a certain balance to the market so that you've got a good price regime.
Brisland says the Southern Cross cable will probably reach full capacity by 2020, meaning the network would either have to upgrade or build its own new cable soon. Christy Zhao, 9 News.
Taiwan's China Airlines is boosting services from New Zealand to Taipei via Sydney. The new Sydney service will fly the routes 4 times a week starting on October 28th with a total of 307 seats. It is said the new service not only marked a significant step towards trade and tourism links between Taiwan and New Zealand, but also driving in excess of $50 million in tourism and trade benefits for New Zealand. Young talents have wowed the audience at 5 Minutes of Fame held in 8 Westfield shopping centres across New Zealand. Everyone was invited to vote online for the winner from a list of 8 finalists. KHR reports.
Musical talent, stunning voices and marvellous dancing spurs out from the 8 finalists of Westfield's 5 Minutes of Fame. Each of the finalists was handpicked by a panel of judges. With many undiscovered talents, the judges had a hard time deciding.
There's so much talent out there that you wouldn't even know it was there. So again, this is why it's so wonderful to bring that talent through. But I know the judges had a difficult time this year in selecting these finalists to go through, but now it's the public vote, so it's really up to people to come online and vote for who they think should win this year.
5 Minutes of Fame started in 2009, and every year the talents just get better and better.
It was about giving children an opportunity to come out of their music class or their dance class, instrumental class, whether it be at school or private tuition, have a chance to perform right out in front of people in the community. It's a big thing to do, isn't it, to take you from the classroom and then bring you right out into a shopping centre environment. So giving you experience as well as a chance to have a moment of, as we called it, 5 minutes of fame.
The finalists are awarded with $500 Westfield gift card, and the supreme winner will receive $2,000 towards further developing their talent. Kay Chow, 9 News.
Now we have our TV9 host from Asia Focus, Julie Nixon, to comment on Give Charter Schools a Chance.
The teaching profession and the opposition in Parliament are opposing the introduction of charter schools, mainly because such schools will take on unregistered teachers. Their argument is that no one will want to be treated by an unqualified doctor, so why should we have unqualified teachers in our schools? The answer is that teaching is different to medicine. While having the right teaching qualifications is a great start to being a good teacher, there are also people with particular areas of expertise who could help our kids get a better education. People with practical skills in areas such as technology spring to mind. Also, people who can speak a language such as Mandarin or Maori could clearly make a useful contribution in any classroom. For this reason, charter schools will be able to negotiate a percentage of the registered teachers they want to employ. The Prime Minister says he'd be happy for his kids to be taught by professionally trained rather than registered teachers. So would other parents if they saw that their children were learning more than they would have done under the standard system. The problem that is being addressed is that 1 in 5 students in New Zealand leave school without an appropriate education or qualifications. So the standard system is failing in the sense that some youngsters are missing out on the start in life that they need. Something needs to be done. From 2014, charter schools will offer choice and hope to parents whose children are failing the standard system. There will be consequences for those schools that don't meet the targets set by the government. If they fail, they could be closed down. So these schools that will have a high level of accountability and also transparency. Legislation will go before Parliament this year, and formal requests for proposals from potential charter school sponsors will be called for once the legislation passes. The school system is failing some kids and we need to try something different. Let's give these charter schools a chance.